Hello and welcome to today's project. I'm working on my Havco HM50 vertical milling machine, which for the most part actually works pretty well. One issue I've had is with tightening and particularly with loosening collets, that the spanner slips on the feed dogs, which is a real nuisance when I'm loosening them in particular. So I think, and when the spanner slips, see if we can see that, it rolls over the edge of the feed dog. I think the feed dogs are made out of mild steel and they're roughly 16mm cube. So my idea is I've bought some 5/8 gauge plate, ground alloy steel, and I'll be making some new feed dogs which are a little bit longer and which I think my spanner would grip on better. So let's get started with that. You can see here that I've cut off some lengths of the gauge plate, and they're a little bit rough. One I think is 24mm and one is about 20. So the first thing to do is to put them on the milling machine and bring them to 20mm, and then I'll be able to drill a hole in them to take the cap screw, and then it should be just about done. So that's not a particularly large project, but it could make using the mill with a collet, it could make it a bit more pleasant. Now you can see here that we're set up and ready to skim the ends off of the gauge blocks. This particular length is 20.48mm, so I'm not sure if it's going to be long enough, but I'll just skim the ends to get them square and see how it goes. Now I've milled the first block down to 19.99mm, half a thou off, so I'm quite happy with that. Let's see how we go with the second block. The longer block is now at 22.1mm, so I've got 2.1mm to come off of it. So we'll get that done pretty quickly. The longer block is now at 22.1mm, so I've got 2.1mm to come off of it. So we'll get that done pretty quickly. The two blocks are now within 0.01mm of 20mm. One is 19.9, the other is 20.01, and I'm quite happy with that. So now the next task is to mark up the centre for the hole. So I'll do that on the marking plate. I've measured the cap-headed screw that secures the feed dog as being an M6. So I'm going to start by drilling out the hole with a 6mm drill, and then I will follow that up with a M6 counterbore. So let's see how this goes. The M6 hole looks to be quite well centred, and it's all looking good. So now I'm going to go through with the M6 counterbore. So we can see that the new feed dogs fit, and they're a little bit longer. They're 3mm longer than the old feed dogs, and they fit very nicely onto the spanner that I use. Here we go, on the spanner that I'm using for gripping onto the feed dogs when I'm tightening or loosening the collet chuck. So that's really good. So the improvements that I've made is that the old feed dogs were a 16mm square, these 16mm cube. These feed dogs are 20mm long, so they're 4mm longer, and I've made them from ground gauge steel, so they are also harder. I haven't hardened that steel yet. I think it might be good enough in its unhardened state, but we'll see how that gets on. And I'm pleased to have a job that worked first time. That was really good. So here we're looking at the old feed dogs, and you can see how soft the metal is. There are indentations from the spanner, and there's also rounding off of the corners, which invites the spanner to slip and rounds it off even more. So it was well and truly time for these to be replaced, and I'm surprised that a manufacturer would make parts like this out of mild steel, which is going to wear and not be particularly good. Okay, so the next video I'll make, I'm going to be doing some little refurbishments on my Douglas shaper. So the Douglas shaper is a small shaper with a 10.5 inch stroke, but that'll be the next video. So we'll see you then, and thanks for watching.